Okay, so hardware wise, you can see both phones are very similar in terms of design. The S21 is definitely a little bit taller here as well, and it looks or it feels a little bit thinner as well too, but it could just be me tripping. No, actually they're about the same. But yeah, they're both IP68 dust and water resistant. They both pretty much have the same design, matte finish on here, no fingerprints. And yeah, they both, like I said, look pretty good. And yeah, they both kind of have that curve to it as well in the palm. So very, pretty much identical in terms of design here. All right, so let's talk about the displays here. So the S21 does have a slightly bigger display. It's a 6.7-inch display. It's dynamic AMOLED, 120 Hz HDR10 plus, 1300 nits peak brightness, 1080p 394 for the PPI. The S22 Plus does have the dynamic AMOLED display. It's 120 Hz HDR10 plus, but a much higher max brightness at 1750 nits peak brightness. So outdoor visibility is going to be, much better on the S22 Plus. And then this is also 1080p 393 for the PPI. So again, not too much of a difference here when you're looking at the colors and quality of the panel. Not a big difference. The biggest difference you'll find here is, like I said, in direct sunlight. If you're at the beach or something like that, it's just really sunny. The S22 does look a little bit better for sure here. And then also both displays are flat as well too. And like I said, there's not really a big difference here. I wouldn't say the S21 having a slightly bigger panel is a benefit because it's not really that much bigger. But yeah, so as far as displays go, I don't think there's a massive difference here at all, besides, again, the max brightness here. All right, so let's talk about the specs a little bit more. The S22 Plus, it has Android 14 One UI 6.1 is running on both of these phones. And then you also have the Snapdragon 8 Gen 1 processor, 128 gigs of internal storage, 8 gigs of RAM. The S21 Plus has the Snapdragon 888, and then we also have 128 gigs of internal storage and 8 gigs of RAM. As you can see, not a big score difference here when it comes to the Geekbench scores here. It's not a massive difference, and you're not really going to see that much better performance. I think the 8 Gen 1 doesn't get as hot as the AAA processor, but I've never really had an issue with the S21 in terms of it getting hot to where the camera starts freaking out and the gaming starts freaking out and stuff like that. I've never really had a real performance problem, but again, I am a lighter user, so performance wise, again, is going to be very close on both of these phones. So one of the things that you'll notice here is that the S22 Plus, it got the full Galaxy AI features, which the S21 did not, unfortunately. So it did get the circle to search feature, which I think is really useful, but like I said, it did not get the rest of the Galaxy AI features that you can see listed right here, like the live interpretation, Samsung Notes, the voice recorder, can do transcripts, the photo editor, which is probably a big one that a lot of people will use. So it did not get those, unfortunately. So that's also a big thing here to take into consideration, is if you feel like you're somebody who's going to use these Galaxy AI features, they're not there on the S21 Plus. And that could be for, performance reasons or whatever Samsung's reason. They could just want you to buy a newer phone. We don't know. But as far as everything else, it does have everything else as far as like Samsung desktop support. You're able to use GoodLog. Everything is pretty much identical besides those things. So when it comes to gaming, again, it's essentially the same story here. Both phones are extremely similar in terms of performance, and like I said, these are Snapdragon models, so I'm not really sure about the Exynos models, but when it comes to gaming on here, I do feel like the S21 Plus maybe get a little bit warmer than I would like to with this AAA chipset compared to the S22 Plus, but like I said, I haven't had it crash or anything. So you can see we're at 90 frames on the S21 Plus, and it plays great. Like I said, you throw anything at it, and for the price point, you got to remember to keep that into consideration. This is very, very cheap, like 189, 200 bucks. The S22 Plus here, it also does play at 90 frames. And like I said, there's no real difference here. So if you're a gamer and gaming is your main concern, you can honestly like blind pick both these phones. If you just want to save some money, then you would get the S21 Plus because you're essentially getting the same performance here. All right, let's check out the speakers at max volume. We'll start with the S22. Yeah, so the S21 Plus, I had to turn, I was like, it sounds a little different, so I turned Dolby Atmos off. But still, the S21 Plus is louder than the S22 Plus. Yeah, it is louder, which makes sense because the S22 series in general, with the infamous speakers and the S22 Ultra being some of the worst I've ever heard, it makes sense. But yeah, the S21 Plus does have slightly better speakers. I think they're just louder. All right, so I think this might come down to the cameras on which phone takes the best photos. So the S22 Plus has a 50 megapixel standard and a 10 megapixel telephoto, 3 times optical with a 12 megapixel ultra wide. It has 8K 24, and then you also have a 10 megapixel selfie with 4K 60. The S21 has a 12 megapixel standard and then a 64 megapixel telephoto, 12 megapixel ultra wide. It can also shoot in 8K 24 with a 10 megapixel selfie that shoots in 4K 60. So check out these side-by-side stills. Let me know if you guys see a massive upgrade or a big difference in terms of performance. Now, battery life on both of these phones, they're pretty good. So I think battery life is really similar. If I was going to give like an edge, it would probably be the S22 Plus. I think the standby time is much better, but the S21 Plus has pretty good battery life. I'm pretty impressed with the battery life when I use this phone. I never can get this phone or both these phones to really die in a day, so that's really good. Now, where the S22 Plus does come out on top when it comes to battery performance is that it does have 45 watt charging compared to the 25 watt charging on the S21. So you do get faster charging speeds on the S22. They both have wireless and reverse wireless charging as well too. So I think for overall the battery situation is just going to be better on the S22 Plus here. But that is pretty much it. Very, very close comparison. I mean, you know, it's a $200 and then you could spend, or you could spend an extra, you know, 60 to 80 bucks and get the S22 Plus. You will get longer software updates or slightly longer software updates, and then also you get the Galaxy AI features. But yeah, it really comes down to your budget. I would say if you can get the S22 Plus, then go ahead and get it if you have the money. But if you're kind of like, I can't really afford it or something like that, the S21 Plus is 100% fine. There's not like a massive difference. So let me know what you guys think, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.